how we doing? On another great day of being a Jayhawk, I will say. Always a great day with a beautiful weather. It's a little windy, but hey, it happens. We're in Kansas. But another thing I would like to say is we're learning a new instrument again, getting it down real good with the sound, and I have been practicing. So some of the things that I would also like to start off with this video is telling you the difference with the flute and the clarinet. Now, with the flute is very different. You know why? Because of its sound and how it looks. Again, talking about the plastic and the metal, or, the coloring, the black and the silver. It's anything with that as well. But we have some fingerings that are different. With the clarinet, you have open holes, and with the flute, you have you have some open holes as well. And also another fun fact that we will get to is with fingerings and how to put down fingerings for those notes that you have. So with that being said, we're going to be taking out the clarinet. I'm going to be taking out my clarinet here in just a second. While you're putting the clarinet together, I would like to talk more about the reed, and what you could be doing while putting that clarinet together or taking it out is first getting out that reed. And what we're going to do with that reed is putting it in our mouth. Now, with putting that in our mouth and soaking it is very, very good, because you're like, well, I'm just soaking it, why is that so important? Well, it's to get that sound out. It could also dry up and not have your sound sound really good. With yourself using a Legier or like a different reed, that's what I've heard of, plastic reeds, a brand named Legier, really nice. It's only because you don't have to read it, but for beginners, I will say now it's very well that you can get a wooden reed, like a Rico size 2.5, or two, but I would say 2.5 is way better. But now I'm playing on a 3.5, and it's really good. It's not too bad. I just saw it, really thought maybe going out the box, but don't be like that. I just getting a way to find your sound. But on to another thing is just some review of what happened in the last class of what we went over. So with that being said, would anybody like to say anything about this? This is like, as you can tell, it's a bell. And now that is very important. You put that on the bottom of the clarinet. Now you're like, oh, what do you mean by the bottom? How can you know if it was the bottom or the top? Now, this is our bottom joint. Now, it's very longer and it has a lot of keys, as you can see. Very nice as well, with that cork on the top there, on the bottom there. So this is supposed to be facing this way, and the cork on the bottom there, very specific there. And then we'll be talking about the upper joint, which is a smaller piece. Now with that smaller piece, it has cork that is on the top as well, and it does have that name brand right there. If you do have a Yamaha, I just saw that could be kind of easy as well, just for myself. And it has that bridge key as well, that you see how what's lifting up back there, remember that? And what's lifting up that's the bridge key, and that's very important, as well as putting on with the instrument. And now since you have the reed, as I said before, as I'm just continuing to talk, having that to be in your mouth is just very important. Now I'll be talking about the mouthpiece, and the mouthpiece is like very important to be on. So with that being said, the mouthpiece is something that's very important. I want to talk about just for a while. With that lining there, you're like, oh gosh, what is that for? It's for what is called a ligature. Correct, a ligature. So with that, you want to put the ligature on, but I will say it's either or. Some disadvantages or advantages from putting the ligature on before or after. It's okay. Some disadvantages is if you put on your reed and you would put that on before, then you could chip it. But I have not done that just yet. I would just be very careful, if anything. But we're going to put that on. Again, with putting that on, you want to keep that facing that flat, the flat part of that reed facing this way of putting in the flat part going with where it lines up, because you don't want to put this part, if you can see that, you don't want to put that part right there in first, because it's just not gonna line up. You want to put the flat part in, turn it around and put the flat part in there with just a smidge of, you seeing just a smidge of it on the top. So if you got that, now you don't want to have that mouthpiece or the ligature moving around too much. So as you can see, we have that gap going down the middle. It's very important to have that gap going down the middle. And with that being said, we're going to be talking about the screws. You want to righty tighty on those once you have that perfect like where you want it to be at. But again, we're going to be talking just a little bit. Sometimes you can just look at like that just to get it that right. Anything like that, you can lick on it like that, but don't like look over the whole thing. All you have to do is just lick on the reed and you'll be fine with that, just because, you know, you're just maybe talking or your instructor is telling you about something. Maybe putting on a cap is very helpful as well. If you've gotten that with your instrument, putting that on is very advantageous. Oh, you don't have to have it dry out so much or so fast. So that's helped me. But with that, we've talked about putting on, or where to put the mouthpiece. Now, how that is very a simple way of doing that, and how to put it where you like perfectly on the mouthpiece, like where to put your mouth on the ligature or on the mouthpiece is very important, because putting it kind of too far up, like your lip is too far up, if you're covering basically this whole thing where your mouth would be on this whole thing, is not acceptable. So what we're going to do is remember, we're going to get a piece of paper. Piece of paper like this, something like that, and slide it down where it stops. See, slide it down like that, sliding down just inside. Don't go all the way down. That's just gonna ruin the reed maybe. But we want to have it just right there. And you want to like take a pencil, and I don't have a pen, but you want to take a pencil and mark where it stops. Like mark where that stops, like right there. So marking where that stops, and maybe remembering or putting your thumb right there is very helpful as well. Putting your thumb right there, and that's where you're going to be with your teeth. Now, you're not going to bite or anything like that, or not your teeth, but where you're going to put that cushioning where that lip is. Your cushioning of that lip, and then you're going to have the teeth right there come down and match that. And you're not going to bite or anything like that. Just putting it right there. It should sound like this. You want to make that wee woo sound with the sound that you want to produce out. And you kind of want to have it going this angle, 45-degree angle, kind of, I believe. So should be having a sound like that. Just to play around with it a little bit, you can pause the video and try and get that sound as well. Do that, and I'll give you just a few seconds. Don't feel like you're ever being rushed. I'm gonna try it myself a little bit. Should come out like that. Remember that re-root armature sound. Play around with it for just a little while. It's not going to be like, don't have that high pitch. If you have that high pitch, again, you might have having it too far over. I have it just about. And again, we're all learning here. Don't feel like you're you're bad or your sound is bad, again, leave any comments or anything like that if you feel you are feeling any bad, or try to ask some questions or make me better as if I'm not getting the good sound. So it'll be a great thing as well for myself to improve on, something we all can improve on. With that being said, let's talk about the barrel. The barrel, now getting that sound kind of for intonation or anything like that, we can now slide this onto our short part, which is called the barrel. We'll slide that on, which you can kind of see as well as this fat part there. It kind of goes up, so it matches. So you want to slide that on there. If anything, cork is perfect for everything. And now we're going to talk a little bit about assembling the instrument. I'm going to go on to that. So remember to grab the upper bout with your left hand. With your left hand, you want to grab that upper bout, and we're going to lift that bridge. If you remember where that bridge is, you know what's moving? That bridge back there, having it like that. And so with that, you want to just grab it like that, grab it from those, or grab it from those fingers from there, and it's going to just give it the upper bridge there. Give you a second to do that. And we're going to get our bridge. We're going to get our, we're going to grab our lower joint, and we're just going to wrap our hands where the, where there's no buttons. Okay, there's no buttons. That's why we grab it with our right hand with the lower joint, because if we grabbed it with our left hand, you see it's going to be grabbing all of the fingerings, and that's not good. So we're going to grab it with our left hand with this upper joint, and we're going to put it with our lower joint from grabbing kind of down below, and we're just going to put it together, and it should just slide right in. Okay, just a moment. Should just slide, screw it right on. See how those are like connecting right there? Should just slide right in. And also there's a little bridge right there. It's from the bottom joint as well, which I found kind of helpful. So yeah, it should just slide right in. Here we go, and kind of slide it there. And there we go. And we see it's kind of crooked. And that's something that the flute and the clarinet has in common as well, is with that you got to line up the holes. You see kind of not all the holes are matching. So we're just going to screw it to our right a little bit. And look at that. Perfect. Perfect. Great with that. And now with that being said, we already got our barrel and our the mouthpiece going. So we're just gonna put that on top, or not even that. We're gonna put our bell on. Putting the bell on. Sorry, I'm going out of order. Put the bell on. All right. Gonna do that for a second. And it shouldn't take fast. Didn't do this fast. Take your time. Like, nobody's in a rush. Okay, so then we want to take our mouthpiece and put it on the top. Screw that on. And with the mouthpiece, you want to match it up with the embouchure key. Not your embouchure key. You want to match it up with your, what is it called? I'm trying to find it. You want to match it up with your register key. So octave key. I'm sorry. Yeah, octave key. Octave key. You want to match it up with your octave key with that backside, the backside there. So yeah, screw that on it, match it, and with that, with that octave key. See now, oops, so it's not, see how that happens? It means you need to tighten up your ligature. So meaning righty tighty, lefty loosey. So I'm going to go right on those to keep that ligature in place. So yeah, after that is all done there, now we're going to be talking about some fun notes and what to play there, and our fingerings on how to play those notes. Now with playing on the flute or playing on the clarinet, you want to place this right hand here. You see how you got those 3 open notes or 3 open holes there? Now we're not going to play those just yet, but just see how that thumb matches up with that there on the rest So we don't want, or it's a thumb rest. That's what it's called. This is called a thumb rest. You're like, oh my gosh, there's like an open key there. Thumb rest. That's what it's going to be called. You don't want to have that over too much, because guess what? Your fingers are going to be like pressing on nothing, just air. What in the world? I can't do that. So you can have it. You can't have it on your nail, because that's just going to cause some, that's going to hurt. I bet that has to hurt. So you want to have it just in a bit in the middle, like I would say there, and not too much on the nail at all, kind of in the middle. I know it's not very perfect to see. So yeah, and then having that going with that, your hand should be like that, having it just in the middle of that thumb there, not too much over, because guess what your hands do? They curl up like that, and that's just like, I can't get with all the notes. So what we're gonna do is place that thumb rest where I place that, and we're just gonna rest it on where you put your piece of paper with that lining, and or with thumb in the middle of the reed. And just again, because we've been talking and I've been talking for so long, actually look at it a little bit. So we're gonna have that, and we're gonna play just with no keys, but place their fingerings where I showed you those open holes are, and don't push on any keys. Just, it should be having this sound here. Just your thumb hole, your thumb rest in your mouth. Here we go. Should sound like that. Let's try it again. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right. Again, slow it down a little bit more. Let's do an exercise, maybe 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 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 rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. It focuses on tonguing and having to remember the airstream. The airstream I did not talk about, and I'm sorry about that. You want to have faster airstream. Something that we definitely can't do on the flute. Again, I want to say, I'm sorry to not put that in order, is the flute. You can play different songs with it, but with the clarinet you really can't do that. To place the fingers in there and play different songs, ranges of where to go. But with that, the clarinet you can't really do very well. So with that, we can kind of just play like how we are now, or with just the mouthpiece and the barrel. You can try and do that. It sounds pretty cool as well. To get into. So with that, let's focus on our tonguing a little bit. Not very much on tonguing, never mind on that, but we'll talk about some other video. But focus on just getting a sound out. Here we go. So we're gonna just hold a note for 4 beats. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 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 and 1, 2. Fast air. And remember, I don't know if you are, but you can't get this sound as well. That's meaning you're covering up the mouthpiece very too hard, like maybe down here. Have it just in the middle. That's what I'm telling you. Do not have your mouth coming all the way over, but just in the middle. Like, to have that sound, and that diagonal having that like 45-degree angle down. All right, so now with the other notes, we just played a G. Now with another note, we're gonna be playing the F. We're gonna play the F. How do you play the F? We have all these open fingers on the clarinet. So we have an open finger for that thumb back there. And then as you can see, we have 1 like that, just like with the flute, 2, and then we have this down here. Now, with, again, placing those fingers there, you do not want to place, like, the whole finger there. We don't want to play with just the tip of our fingers. We don't want to play with, like that or anything like that, or with any type of fingerings on those, but just the middle of the finger, I would say. Just, if you can see, like, let me demonstrate. Just the middle of it, like just the middle, just those middles. Touch the middle of those. I don't know if there's another way of doing it, but just imagine you have these beads, Now, where are those touching? Just in the middle. If you have beads or anything like that, an object like that, or just a straw. I have all this stuff around me. Just a straw or anything like that, and where that could place, like that's just about how you should put the fingerings for your clarinet. So what I'm gonna try is that placement with the thumb. You should sound like this. I'm gonna do an exercise with the whole notes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and sounding good, sounding good. I like it. Again, you are not perfect, or if you're getting a sound that is squeaking, you're going too far over with the mouthpiece. You need to be in the middle with the mouthpiece. Take some time to pause and maybe have some time to yourself. But we're going to move on to what is our next note, F. And with our F note, well, let's actually talk about just the G and our F. So a G is going to be talking about this with no fingering down. And this is going to be our thumb down. Try that with me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and all right, good job. That was great. That was great. Okay, now we're going to be talking about our F. Oh, well, we just did our G and F, so we're going to be talking about our E, which is going to be that first finger there. All right, so the first fingering I didn't show very well with that open hole there, so we just now dropped the thumb, and now with our first finger, we're going to do with that F, or the E. So here we go.